creature is. It's simply something which is capable of taking materials and creating new thought textures. So that's just an interesting way to think about it.
Yes, that reminds me. I had talked about how a rock falling down is closer to God than a human making a decision, because there's more thought textural input in place for the more sentient, more self-reflective a being gets, whereas the natural environment is immediate. It is just the blank actions.
All right, this on this file alone, we've been recording for an hour. I'm gonna stop it and make sure my phone can even save this. I was talking about Zix. We were going back to what we were talking about before, which was Zix versus or basically just the definition of Zix. So yeah, what do you think about what I was saying? Where it's like it's like it's an experience by something self-reflective. Like, what is the best way to say that? It's whenever. And that's it's kind of like what I was saying before. It's like it's whenever something simulates the universe back at it, right? Or you could even
Yeah,
go
whenever it looks at itself, whenever it engages in activity with itself. Others, if it doesn't do that, then it's inanimate. It's not thinking about it. It's not making choices. Whereas if it is, then it's a Zix, it's a being. It's a self-reflective thought textual bundle. Wow.
what if you put it as
If it
go ahead.
hold on, I'm just saying this. If it engages in itself, then, and I'm imagining a giant hurricane swirly effect. And if one of the little swirlies went out of the storm and instead engaged in itself and formed a little like loop, then that's what we are. That's it engaging in itself, touching itself, and like looking upon itself, and that is our finite experience. Whereas if it didn't do that, it would be going with the entire storm, which would be infinity, which would be us unraveling as our body lives and dies.
So what do you think about this? It's like I was saying earlier, the difference between animate and inanimate, which is essentially the difference that we're trying to make between Zix and not Zix, is that an animate object is one which is capable of making more than one thought texture. And how do you say that? More than one thought texture based on a unit of mass, more than one thought texture based on the materials that it's made out of? Perhaps that's the way to put it. Perhaps a Zix is, or a conscious entity, is something which is capable of using only its parts to create a new thought texture. So maybe that's the definition? What do you think about that? How do you think that... Oh, it's basically what we're trying to ask is, what is the definition of living thing?
It's a thought texture engaging in itself.
You'll need to explain that more.
I just mean that it's a thought texture that is self-reflective.
I don't think
It's
that's
a thought texture.
specific enough. Like, I don't think that's scientific enough, almost. I don't think I think that I fully agree, and that is what I was saying earlier whenever I was saying that it's whenever it reflects the universe back. Like it's whenever it's something that reflects God back at it. Like that's basically what I'm saying. It's like the same thing. But it's the same reason I didn't take that whenever I had it. It's just like I don't think it quite goes far enough because it isn't just that. It's not just when something reflects back. It's it's whenever yeah, I don't know. I don't have it yet. It's just kind of like whenever I think the closest thing I've come up with yet is it's like a tie between what you're saying and what I was saying before, which is it's whenever it's something which is capable of taking inanimate, something which is capable of taking only material and creating more thought textures out of it. Like how do you say that though? How do you say that well? Not like a nerd.
Something that takes the potential of the world and actualizes it
I think we just need to make
into.
our own word. Because we're both going back to faggot words, like non-normal people words. Both of us are having to refer back to like neuroscience and big boy words, and it's just like, maybe that means we just need to make our own.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like what Zix is. And then, but the thing is, then it's like, all right, this made up word that we just made up, what does it mean? And that's, you know, as far as it'll have its own issues.
I can't even remember what the issue we're having with Zix is right now. Fucking Christ Almighty! We spoke the
Um,
call earlier in the day. I think maybe I'm tired. I'm not exactly sure what's going on.
yeah. But as far as making a new word, it's I did have
Where was I?
the
What was
idea.
I talking about making a new word for?
Um, that's the thing. I don't know what you were specifically referring to. Um, I had the idea of having the word for the inanimate. Um, Zix would be just
Yeah,
Zik,
yeah. That's thought texture though.
but they're both thought texture.
What? What does it mean?
I don't see how one could be thought texture and the other not.
It's just an inanimate Zix is a thought texture, a single thought texture. It's like that's what it is. A Zik and a thought texture are the exact same thing. It's a non-thinking thought texture.
All right, then what are you thinking needs a new word?
I don't know anymore. I'm not even thinking about that at this point. What I know I was going for was something inside of Zix. I was going for some classification inside of Zix. Basically, I was trying to come up with some way to say what I was saying before, which is to say it's two thought textures. It's using things which only have one thought texture to make more than one thought texture. It's using quantum physics. It's using material to create thought textures. See what I'm saying? That's what it is. That's what a Zix is. A Zix is whenever something takes only one thought texture and it makes more out of it. That's what a Zix is. And I'm trying to think of
Yes,
what.
it divides it down. It breaks it apart into pieces to engage with.
How did I say that exact same thing?
Um,
How what? Never mind.
I think you were saying.
Yeah, whatever I just said, I think was an equivalent of what you just said. However, I'm not even capable of remembering what either one of us said, so I don't know how to posit that.
I was agreeing with you.
Okay, and what you said was because I liked it.
Oh, a Zix is something that takes a something of the infinite and breaks it down into smaller pieces to engage with.
Okay, hold on, and let me revert that back into what I was saying and trying to equivalate them. Fuck, repeat what you said again. Jesus Christ.
You would talk to me about two thought textures. It was two thought textures.
Yes. It's okay, and then okay, say what you said. Now it's so I can compare it against the two thought textures.
That the Zix inherently breaks apart the one into many to engage with.
Okay, you're gonna need to equivalate those two things, or at least you think about this while I'm thinking about this. Combine those two things. So what two thought textures means is whenever something takes material, which only has one thought texture, right? So non-animate material, or think of quantum physics, right? That's us. Whenever something takes
Yeah.
quantum physics and then makes more than one thought texture, right? That's a living thing. That's why a bacteria is considered a Zix, a dog is considered a Zix, you are considered a Zix. All of those things, right? They have more than one thought texture in the space of something that's only made up of something which has one thought texture, right? So combine that idea with what you just said of something which divides. Because I think that whenever you equivalate both of them together, that's what we're looking for here.
Right. So quantum physics is is inherently talking about what the metaphysics of God, where God is inherently one. We are engaging with that quantum reality, collapsing it down into our life, which is dividing it up, is dividing up that one into pieces, and we are engaging with those smaller fragments, those pieces of what was
Equivalent
once
this
one.
specifically to the two thought texture concept. The idea that what a Zix is something which has
And so we're
more.
engaging with the one infinite thought, and we're making that down into smaller thoughts. We're in having more thoughts about it. We are multiplying or dividing, almost doing both at the same time.
Hold on, let me think about this. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's exactly what I'm thinking. But how? Basically, what I'm asking is, how do we say that to normal people? Is what I'm thinking about right now. How do we say that without using any large words or any gay jargon? How do we say that small? That's the hard part. Here's what keeps circling in my brain, if this helps you. Two and many. That's what I'm breaking it down into, right? So there's my concept, which is that it's two, and there's your concept, which is it's division. And the way I'm looking at it is you could look at it the way you were saying before, which is it's both multiplication and division. The way I'm looking at it right now is that it's only division because you have what is the one, all right? So you have that's what we're starting with. Okay, so we're starting with one, and then two, right? That's division because you've taken it from one to two. And then you also have what you were saying, which is just division. So they're the same thing. They're both division. And now I'm trying to figure out what is the easy way to talk about thought texture division. That's kind of the thought line I'm on right now.
We'd have to put some focus on that inherently. So there's something about reality that is inherently one and unified, and that our reality is what that looks like divided, and that in itself would be the hard part to understand.
Okay,
Um,
wait. So okay, let's just go this way. What if a Zix is just a divider? Okay, what does that mean? Let's start pondering that. Because before we were
yeah,
saying,
that matches.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we were about to say the exact same thing, which is just that yes, that works.
Yes, it definitely works, and it also reminds me of a thought texture visual I had, and it gave me a new one. But specifically, it's the idea that uh, the Zix is kind of like this arrow going forwards into the Sea of Infinity, and in doing so, kind of creates a aerodynamic effect where it once was one, it is now being split open across the point of the arrow of which the Zix is. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Very complicated, but yes, it even took me a few seconds to like process that
Yeah,
visually. But yes, I do
it's
see
just
it.
like an airplane essentially in the sky. Essentially, that would be the normal analogy for it.
But okay, so divider. Okay, so before we were trying to say that it is a what were we calling it before we were saying that Zix was
Labeler.
Yes,
labeled.
yes, a labeler. And now we're saying it is a divider. Okay, so now give me a second to just think about what the difference is now, the fully set and everything, make sure there are no issues, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good stuff right there, actually, I think. I think divider may have been exactly what we were looking for. Okay, cool. We'll have to go back to that later, but
It should be definitely noted that and I guess that's the beauty and the duality of things, but that not only are we the divider, because that it does have a and like talking about it in human circles that has a negative connotation. So to say that we are metaphysically dividers would be to note that we're also our we are dividing no matter what. Our role is to divide it in the most smooth way possible.
so another thing that I was just thinking about is that the so many brain traps right now. Thought loops that erase the last thing that I was thinking of. God damn it. Whiteout. Just like these whiteout frameworks I just keep getting struck with. Um, they feel like an insight, and then as soon as you look at them, they blind you and make you forget about everything that you were just saying. And then you reach to
Yeah.
try to remember what the insight
No,
was,
it's like
and it's gone too.
kind of like a lot of silence and then a bunch of activity, and then it's like, what do I do with all that?
Yeah. Then you're left just feeling for what any piece of it was, what the activity was, what the thing you were thinking about before the activity was, and then it's all gone. Okay, but to think about, so okay, what were you talking about?
Oh, our role is to divide as smoothly as possible.
Oh, what were we talking about right before that? Oh, okay, wait, no, hold on. I came up with a problem. Oh, yes, the problem is that idea of divider and the idea of the next step up, the idea of ASICs or the mini, those are very similar. It's going to be kind of hard to explain to people the difference. So let's go ahead and think about that right now. How do you explain the difference between those two? It would be the first question I asked you if you brought this up to me, which would be okay, what is the difference between the mini and division? Those two seem like the same thing.
All right, so
And of course, like I understand why they're not the same thing, but we need
well,
to know.
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. The mini is, as you say, the mini, but we are here to divide that mini into a bite-sized piece of a human life.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, okay. Let me think about that some more. I like that. Okay, that works so well that I know that there's deeper knowledge there to be extracted. I need to think about the process of that. Like, why does that work so well? Yeah, that's damn near perfect. It's like it's like breaking down the brain into like thought textures. I didn't know how to explain that. It's yeah. Okay, I'll leave that to another time when my brain's functioning better. There's symmetry there though. I'm noticing some sort of mathematical symmetry between that and other concepts that I'm going to need to elaborate on further at another point. Okay, this is a 1958. I'm gonna go ahead and screenshot that so I can go back here. Okay, um, moving on. Um, or honestly, we could even stop here for tonight and move on tomorrow. Well, we made pretty good progress. We got like hour 30 in video, salvageable video, which is not bad.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, we got some solid framework in it.
Good shit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here.
Cool visual. Um, that was from a sub one visual. So I had a sub one visual. I think I told you about this, where I got the notion that a philosopher like Plato was inherently writing in his own blood. That to destroy and to write about metaphysics and to ponder on it is to bleed yourself out as you are writing in your own blood, essentially, because you're talking about metaphysics, which you are. And I got that same notion, but the modern day equivalent of I'm looking at my laptop and writing it down, and I got this notion of like the fusion thought texture of of digitalness and internetness mixed with blood and biology, and that I am using that technology to write about my own self in this small finite form on this little rectangle in front of me.
A simulacrum, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I could see that one too. Yeah, I would go farther. I would literally try to equivalent that to simulacrum, where it's like you are. Yeah, nope. I can't do big things like that. I literally feels like I'm on sub one right now. I can see these grand patterns, and then I go and I try to spin the web between them. I try to attach these grand patterns together, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe another day.
The tongue was not built for this.
Yeah, not at this moment in time. Yeah, but yeah, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff in today's video. Um, yeah. Okay, call back tomorrow,
It's
right?
very interesting. Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting that like um how we were in a very similar place like there's just this time last year, and how we were like talking about very similar concepts, but just
So much
now
less
infinitely
polished.
larger.
We were so much less
Oh
polished then. Like we're
yeah,
it's so much shinier, more refined now.
yeah. We were just getting exploring. We were amateurs out on the out
It's
on the
weird.
on the
I
path.
kind of I kind of regret not uploading all of that. I do feel like it would have been great content and so good to look back on. But I also feel like now now is the perfect time where the framework feels complete, the vocabulary feels damn near complete. You know what I mean? We're moving into a stage where it's like this is the stage I always talk to people about whenever I would talk to people like Cade, where it's like, yeah, I'm working towards something. It's not quite there yet. I'll talk to you about it when I get there. It's like I'm finally getting to the point where it's like I'm getting there. I'm on the doorstep of just straight up being done to the point where I can actually start talking about it to random people. You know what I mean? That's at the point we're at now.
Hmm.
Very, very good. On the verge of greatness. I mean, really, all it's going to be is we're going to need to finish this over the next 2 or 3 days, recording about an hour a day of just delving into everything we've ever created. And then after that, we're going to need to go through these and we're going to need to highlight the pieces, all the important pieces. And then we're going to go through and we're going to need to write not a script, but like under each individual section, we're going to need to then have talking points for that individual section of what we want to say
Hmm.
about it. And then in the main video, we're going to need to that's going to need to be a ton of work. I mean, that's going to be editing, it's going to be different takes, that's going to be going through and talking about each individual thing with its individual talking points and trying to string it together seamlessly and only doing it on a day when our vocal cords are perfectly untied. You know what I mean? That's going to be the big project. That's going to be like this month's piece of work. You know what I mean? It's going to be that video.
Looking forward to it
You betcha. Well, we've already started. All right,
for
so
sure.
call back tomorrow. I think I want to say a little earlier,